What's your advice for founders who want to effectively fundraise? They want to get to Series B. How do you advise them?
Yeah, I think that there are two principles that are the most important, and then there's like a whole bunch of tactics in the how to implement those principles. The two most important principles are what are you building and what are the proof points that suggest that this is growing fast and can become a big company. So knowing the answers to that for yourself then gives you the permission to use those data points to pitch an investor for why now is the right moment to invest, right? It's like any other sales process. You need a hook. And so you should just know what the hook for your business is, because you're trying to get someone to buy a piece of equity in your business. And so it's like, I think the worst fundraising advice is like when people say like, oh, use this Sequoia deck format or whatever, like, hey, you do your problem, whatever. Incredibly stupid. Like, I mean, I can't think of a worse way to fundraise, because you are not giving the person something to buy into when you do that. All you're doing is formatting the data in a standard way, which is, I mean, I can't think of a worse way to do it. And so the way to do it is, what is the hook about your business? Why is it interesting? Why is it exciting? What are the 2 or 3 metrics that support that hook? And execute on those 2 or 3 metrics. And next to that, know who are the investors who would care about this type of business for the long term, and who the 5 names of those people, and make sure that those relationships are the ones that you build in a way in which they want to sell you and do work for the company to prove that they would be a good investor for the company. Those are the underlying principles. And then like, how do you do it? I have like, like tons of tactics underneath that, but
Let's go into the tactics, because I've seen some of them and they work.
they were, yeah, I mean,
The 45 million Series B proves it.
yeah. I mean, first of all, there's like fundraisers that are much larger than our raise, right? But yeah, I think like on the metric side, which I think is the core ingredients to actually doing the investor management side, knowing your North Star and knowing what are the 2 or 3 things that will prove that you can win it is critical. So for Fermàt, what that happens to be is I knew that I needed to show high growth on our main motion, which is like our mid-market motion. And I wanted to show that we could win the whole market. So we wanted to show that our enterprise motion was starting to work and our agency motion was starting to work. And so we invested very deeply in making sure those things were true to show early signal that there are opportunities to invest on the go-to-market side outside of the core mid-market go-to-market machinery. Hey, like we're seeing early signals that the agency and enterprise thing is working, we should invest into it. Now, you can like make those metrics just for the fundraising process, and that's fine. You can also make those metrics true for yourself to like actually build your business and invest into those motions. We happen to do that. And so now our agency motion and our enterprise motion are the fastest growing parts of the company. And they're growing extremely fast, actually. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is, how do you actually set up the investors to be hungry for a piece of the equity? And there, again, making sure you know the names of the 5 people who are going to be the best fit for you is part 1. Part 2 is find people who they are connected to and get them to drop information about how well the company is going, so that way they inbound you. And then part 3 is make them do work for you in order to get a meeting. So it's like, make sure they come with customer intros ready to be made or already made for you. Make sure they come ready with being able to introduce you to excellent candidates that you may want to be, like that you're in the process of hiring for. Make sure they come equipped with value to add to the company from the get-go. Because once you put an investor into a selling posture, now they are like, that is the posture that they have for the fundraise. Yeah. And they are actually competing with a handful of other investors who also are in a selling posture. And then that word leaks because investors all talk to each other. It's like, like I would say that the information gossip in the VC world is like worse than like Indian aunties. Like one company is out fundraising, like every associate at every fund is talking to each other within like 30 seconds, basically. And so you definitely want to deny a very large number of meetings because that gossip gets around. And so then once people hear that the company is not taking meetings from people who have not shown value ahead of time, that's a very strong positive signal about the company.
I like those tactics. I think those are so true, not just in fundraising, but just like in sales in general. I think some of the things you spoke about are like great tactics for like generating hype or demand, especially in a fundraising context. What happens like when you have nothing? Like when you don't have a strong product, you just have a vision, like pre-seed. Like how did that work for Fermàt, and what's advice you can give there?
Well, I mean, ultimately you have to have a product people want to buy, like that, no matter what. That's like in every context, right? When you don't have customers or product, the only thing you have is team, right? Because like a company is only three things: customers, product, team. And so without customers or without product, you have to sell the team, which basically means as a founder, you have to know, why are you the right person to build this company, and can you recruit well? And so you have to be able to prove those two things, that you are great at recruiting and you are the right person to build whatever company you're proposing. And you can raise a lot of money off of just those two things.